I am working on a 2004 Lexus RX 330. I'm going to show you something here, how I come up with this conclusion that the head gasket is very much damaged on this car, and most likely the head is warped, not just the head gasket damaged. This car came towed in here. It came that did not start or didn't want to start. I checked the timing belt. It did sound like a timing belt issue because when you crank, the engine sounds like there is no compression. The way it sounds, it didn't feel like it has a compression. It feels like a smooth cranking. So cranks without feeling that little. It's like a small hiccup as it starts, or whatever you want to call it. Just you could feel it. If you're a mechanic for years, you understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, so the timing belt looks good. I checked the correlation with the crank and the cams, all the points on the marks correct. I did check the compression on all those three. It's easier to have access to those three spark plugs or 3 cylinders or 3 pistons versus the one in the back. You can't get to it because of the intake manifold in the way. It's gonna be very much a nightmare to take it off, but it was enough here just to do the diagnosis here, and this is the conclusion that this is a big job. So I'm gonna just show you a few things I did that confirm my analysis to this issue. First of all, I did check the spark because the car wasn't starting. I found out later that the car was overheated after I saw there is a leak from the water pump. So I know the water pump was leaking, and the customer didn't even have a gauge, working gauge that working temperature gauge is showing him what's the temperature of the engine. So it's all the time was showing cold. So anyway, all right. So I checked the spark. There is a spark and there is a injector pulse. Let me just turn the ignition on. See the keys if it's inside. All right. So ignition on. I'm sorry it's dark here, but was so busy today. All right. So the ignition is in on position. So I should have, this should light, which is confirmed there is a spark here, and this little light here, it should blink for the injector pulse. So I'm gonna crank the engine from here with my wiring here. So as you can see here, you can see this is so both of them. Let me turn the light here, maybe I can show it more so you can see. Alright, so it is cranking, okay, but it's not starting. This one here again. So you can see there's a light here, and you already saw the injector balls. It's working, so this is confirmed we'll have a spark. And I did this in the beginning before I started all the stuff I just was talking about. Before I checked the compression, before I checked the timing belt, I just did check the spark just to get it out of the way. I checked the injector bolts, I got it out of the way. I checked the timing, I got it out of the way. I did check the compression. I got 0 on all 3 cylinders. I'm assuming this head here and most like the other one, they are warped. And to do the last confirmation here, I'm applying sharp air inside this cylinder here, so you can see what happened to the radiator here. Okay, you're gonna see what happened to the coolant when I'm gonna pour just regular water I don't want to waste antifreeze. This car came very much without even coolant in it. It was very low because I did notice, like I said, the water pump was leaking. So let me just free my both hands. Okay, pay attention to the radiator neck here. See what happened to it, or what happens in this area. I'm just gonna pour some water. I'm using this regulator here. I don't want to put too much air inside the system. Alright, so there's air inside the cylinder now. Okay, so the water pump is leaking, so the water goes too fast. Watch this. A certain position. Let me just change the cylinder here. This one right here. Watch this. Watch what's going on here. Do you see this? Watch this. So the air is escaping into the combustion chamber. Of course, there's two scenario here. You could hear the bubbles. You could see the pressure with my hand. It could be also the intake manifold, that the gasket on the intake manifold is cracked, or the intake manifold has a problem somewhere in that area. Also could be warped. That also can leak the coolant into the combustion chamber through the intake valve. So if again, if the intake manifold gasket where the coolant opening in the intake manifold near the intake valve, it will cause the same thing what I see here. But I already checked the compression, so there's no compression, so I'm sure this engine is really toasted right now. So there's no compression, and there is no and you can see there's water coming inside the radiator right now, and the car will not start due to also no compression. So one last note, even if the intake manifold was the only problem, the car will still start, but it will smoke antifreeze or will make a lot of bubbles here inside the radiator. Or it might bust the radiator, even if there is if it's only the intake manifold the problem. Okay, so it will do the same thing, but a car will start if the head gasket, nothing wrong with it, and the head is not warped, the car will start, even if the intake manifold, one eye of the intake manifold is leaking into the intake valve. So that's very much it. So this car, I'm sure it's the head gasket is damaged, and the intake manifold most likely also, maybe not damaged. But since the car was overheated and the water pump is leaking, I know this is a big job. And to confirm all I'm saying, of course, the engine has to be taken apart to see it. But it looks like we have to wait on the confirmation from the customer, see how far he wants to go. I should just take the intake manifold to confirm one more step, then away. But again, no compression, leaking into the coolant system. Combustion chamber is supposed to be sealed, and the only exit to it is the intake manifold and the intake valve going through the intake manifold going into the coolant system. That's my analysis at this moment. This is how we check a car. I hope this was helpful. I hope I didn't talk too much. Just trying to explain in my basic way of explaining. Thank you for watching. I appreciate if you give me a like, if you subscribe. It will help. It will help me post more video. You could benefit from it in the future. That's very much it. I appreciate your time, and thank you for watching. Bye.